Welcome to the podcast editing and support show. My name is Dave. Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's go. We're going to start the episode right now. Happy to have you here. Let's do this. Hey, welcome back to the podcast. Glad to have you here. Yeah, we're talking all things podcasting and working with a team. And this might happen to you, where you, as a podcast host that has a team, let's just say you've lost that loving feeling, and it's time to make a change. As much as you want to continue this working relationship, something has happened, and it's not working out the way it should. When you first met your podcast editing and support person, your virtual assistant, it was like you were dating, all gushy and loving, and everybody loves everything about everyone. Sure. There's things that were happening, and, well, you're just so happy to have this support person that you overlook some of the things. It could be anything, but you overlooked it because you were so happy to hand off your podcast production and support to somebody, and you'll deal with the little minor annoyances and things that kind of don't sit well with you. You'll put them aside because you're just happy to have help. But over time, it becomes evident and clear to you that this just isn't working out. And it's time to fire your team. How the heck do you fire a team? What do I need to know before I even pull the trigger on this and go, I'm going to send the email, I'm not sending the email. I don't know what to do. I need to make a change. I've found somebody maybe better, or I'm going to start looking for somebody better who can service my podcast, but I don't know how to end this relationship and be kind and not back out. And I need to make the best choice for my podcast and for my mental health and for me as a person. Dave, help me. Well, we're going to talk about that here on the podcast. I'm glad you're here. Glad you pressed play. It's time to fire your team, and I know it sucks, but you're going to be happy you did, because something better's just around the corner. Thanks for hitting play. I don't know if you've ever been fired before, but it is not the best experience. I have been downsized, which is a nice way of saying you're done. It's happened. It's happened a few times where you get the box of your contents of your desk handed to you, you're blindsided, and you're walked out the door. It's interesting, and it's not the best feeling. And sometimes, as the host of the show, you're the one that's maybe creating the income through your podcast. You're the one paying somebody. You're putting out your hard-earned money to have somebody help you with your show. And you're putting out money for services that are not up to par, not up to what you expected, not to what was arranged and agreed upon. There's gaps, and those gaps are costing you time, money, frustration, and it's time to make a change. It's time to cut your losses and jump to somebody else who could help you. And if that person's me, I'd love to talk to you. But it's time to make a change. And there's a lot of different reasons for this, but there's also some practical things that you should consider before you fire off an email, before you react in real time out of frustration, before you let your emotions take control of your brain. Some things to consider before you pull the trigger and say, I'm going to make a change. So I got a guide for you here on firing your team. I know this doesn't sound right. And for the people listening who are podcast editing and support people, be aware of some of the things that you might be doing, which could lead people to think that you're not the right fit for them over time. So if you hear yourself in any of these things, you, as the editor and support person, maybe should initiate the conversation to your host, the podcaster you work with, saying, listen, I know I'm not meeting expectations here, and I'm focusing and refocusing my attention here. Just so you know, this is my main thing. I want to get better at this to support you. Get ahead of it. Don't let this become an email in your inbox so you go, oh no. Make sure you listen to this and apply it to yourself as an editor and support person. But today we're really focusing on the podcast host in this conversation and giving you a guide to consider when and how to end a working relationship with your virtual assistant, editor, support person, and some key indicators of what is a broken relationship, how to initiate a difficult conversation, which a lot of people like me don't like doing, and the important considerations for a smooth transition, a handoff from the person you're leaving to the new person you're onboarding. How do you do all this stuff? I'm nervous. I'm going to make a big mistake. So let's jump in. What are some indications that this relationship is not working well? It's not how it doesn't serve you, doesn't serve your support person. Something is off. What are some indicators? Well, the work's not getting done. Deadlines are being missed. Releases are not happening when they're supposed to be released. There's just things falling off the to-do list and the regular everyday functioning of your podcast to the point where it's becoming evident that something's just not happening here. The deliverables aren't coming in. The work is not appearing in the shared folders or however you track communication between you and the person you're working with. There's some really clear red flags that something is off. If you're still being billed but not receiving results, it's time to reassess the relationship. They're happy to send you the invoice saying, here's the invoice for June, but I haven't seen anything for June. My podcast hasn't even been live this month yet. It's time to address it. The work isn't getting done to your liking as well. After multiple rounds of feedback and you requesting them to tweak this and fix that, things that are obvious, things that were done in the past, which are not being done now to the same level or even at all, they're just not matching your standards for your show. If the quality or style of what you're getting from your support person doesn't meet your standards, don't settle. The fit just might not be right. There might be something happening that is making the quality of your show worse. And if you lose listeners because the quality of your show is being downgraded, that's going to impact you. That's going to impact your income. It's going to impact your community. It's going to impact your voice. People don't know about your team. They only know you as the host. So when your podcast is not meeting expectations through a team that's not showing up for you, it's time to make a change. There's also this weird lack of transparency that's happening in the background through emails, through voice messages, through phone calls and texts. There's just something feels different in this relationship. There's inconsistent time tracking. The billing is completely unclear, very vague, and unexpected absences. People just disappear. It just erodes trust over time. Transparency is foundational for remote working relationships. They're not in the office next to you, and you can poke into their office and go, hey, Stuart, what's going on with the episode? Stuart's not sitting next to you. Stuart's in another country, another city, province, state. Stuart is not in your office. So this lack of transparency, it can be a sign. It's a sign. If you catch it early, maybe you can fix it. But sometimes we don't recognize the signs. Everywhere a sign, blocking up the scenery. Right? Yeah. We don't recognize the signs until it's too late. There's a lack of transparency. There's unreliable communication happening, maybe between you and your support person. If your assistant or editor becomes difficult to reach, goes missing in action, they're completely MIA, or just fails to respond in a timely manner, the relationship is starting to break down. Could be that they have too many clients. Could be that they're not good with managing their time. It could be that there was a death in the family. There's a lot of different reasons, but when it's trackable and a pattern to this unreliable communication, that's a key indicator for you as a host. You need to make a change. It's going to come back and bite you. It's going to come back and bite your content and your audience and your community, and the trickle effect, it's going to have a huge impact to everything. So that unreliable communication, and maybe things just start turning negative. There's like an attitude and a tone in emails and in communication. Maybe people are short with you. Emails are curt, They're just like, what is happening? Why am I feeling like I am the last email in the inbox that gets read? And why are the responses so short and dismissive, maybe? It's not just that communication is unreliable. It could just be negative or very unprofessional. People will get sassy. People will get negative or uncooperative, and their behavior displays this sense of just, I don't want to be around you. And this is not working. Adds stress and friction to your relationship. And this whole collaboration thing starts to be dismantled because of people just being negative. So again, some key indicators. The work's not getting done. It's not getting done to your liking. The transparency is gone. The communication is unreliable or negative or just outright rude. And then there's just the ghosting. Poof. They just disappear. It's like, what happened to our regular standing meeting that you've been coming to late to for the last few weeks, and now you're not here? Where are you? If your support person just suddenly stops responding and stops working for you, this is a clear sign. I don't know how much clearer it needs to be. You need to find a new relationship and a new partner. It's time to make a change. If you're a podcast host and that's where you are right now, then this is the episode for you to help you navigate this decision. It's gone to the point where it's the point of no return. Pilots have this in an airplane. They have enough fuel to get them from point A to point B, and they get to the certain point where they cannot turn around. There's not enough fuel in the tanks to fly back to their original spot, and you have to move forward. When you get to that point of no return, you're making a choice to continue or go back and start over. You've gone past the point of no return. You have to continue with this, and you have to make a change. Now we're going to move forward. And how to have a difficult conversation with somebody. Maybe this is your first time where you're on the communicating end and not the receiving end of this conversation. And you'll see how hard this really is. But how do you initiate a difficult conversation with someone that's just not working out? My background's in HR. And I've worked with a lot of different companies. I've worked in management in stores and retail and offices and all over the place, in a lot of different settings. And in an HR background, we have difficult conversations. I remember someone was being let go in the company. I was tasked to have the conversation with this person. I had to, because this person commuted with the other people to work, I had to prearrange a taxi to be waiting out front for this person, which we paid for to get this person home. I had to arrange with IT to shut off emails and shut off access in advance. I had to do all this background work. The person is sitting at their cubicle 20 feet from me. And it was clear that we had gone past the point of no return with this person. And this person was going to be leaving the company today. Unbeknownst to them, they had no idea that that's where the process was. But I was the one that had to do the actual thing. I got to tell you, some people don't realize this, but it is really hard to be the person to deliver the news. I remember going into the hallway. We had like elevators in our building, and then we had a stairwell. Stairwell was hardly used by people because people like to ride the elevator. So I went into the stairwell after doing this and having this person escorted out of the building, taking their badge, all that stuff. And I almost I was nauseous in the hallway, my stomach churning at what just happened. And that somebody that I knew within the office, business-wise, not really socially, but business-wise, this was their last day. What a feeling in my gut. I don't like that conversation. So here's some things that you can do that might help you to navigate this and to just say, okay, that's enough of this. We're going to move forward. It's time to make a change. It's hard to do, but here's some things that might help you. First, acknowledge the situation. Start by acknowledging the current state of the relationship and any specific issues. One of the things we do in HR, you might be unaware of, is every time there's an issue, we email it to ourselves. It's trackable, it's time-stamped, and we summarize the interaction or what happened, the occurrence, And that becomes part of a file. That file is collected over a period of time. And these are things where maybe health and wellness things have been done. Maybe they're not working safe on the job. There's comments, there's abuse, there's negative things happening. We track it all. And all of these things combine together over a period of time with warnings and discipline and trying to help the person work through these things. There's a point where it's gone too far. And we track everything. So as you navigate this and you get the early signs of ghosting and negative attitude and unreliable communication, as those things become evident, document it, timestamp it, email yourself, make a folder, just so that you have information and actual proof that the relationship is broken. So do that. But you need to acknowledge the situation with the person that you're dealing with so that they understand. For example, I've noticed some changes and challenges with our workflow and communication lately. I'd like to talk to you about how we can move forward, or if it might be best to part ways. It's a great way to bring that up. It gives them options. My hope for you is that you continue the relationship. This is somebody that you hired. This is somebody you found. This is somebody who has worked for you in the past. I would love for you to keep the communication going and keep this person in place. They know you. They know your workflow. They know your product. Then it's good to keep that relationship. But again, there's just this point where you can't work with this person anymore. So acknowledge the situation. Advocate for your needs. Stand up for yourself. You're the podcaster. You're the content creator. You're driving this ship. They're not. They're here to support you. They're your assistant captain, assistant driver. They're there to support you. They're not driving this. You are. So advocate for yourself. Be your own cheerleader in this conversation. Clearly express your perspective and the needs that you have without minimizing the other person's efforts. So use I statements in this, not you, but I. I feel that the quality of the edits hasn't improved despite our feedback and despite all of the conversations. And it's impacting our podcast consistency. I feel, not you're not doing your job right. No, that's not right. I feel that the edits aren't meeting my standards. See, use I statements, but advocate for your needs and make sure people understand your point of view. Acknowledge the situation, advocate for your needs, and problem solve, or simply decide to part ways. Offer to brainstorm some solutions between you and your service provider. And if there's no improvement, if not, just communicate your decision to end the relationship professionally and respectively and move on. It's time to make a change. And some sample conversation openers you can have during a difficult conversation can be simply like, I have something I'd like to discuss that I think will help us work together more effectively. When can we meet? When can we talk? Or I'd like to talk about our outflow of work and how everything is happening to see if we can find a better way forward or if it's time to make a change. Again, you are your own advocate. You are not the passenger on your podcast. As the creator, it's your ship. You're the captain. So we follow your lead as podcast editors and support people. The dynamic always favors you. So keep that in mind. Some considerations and some pre-planning when you are going to make the decision to move forward and make a change. There are some really important things for you to consider before the relationship maybe turns. You don't know the reaction when you finally sit down with your support person. It could go sour. And before it goes sour, potentially, you need to have these things in line before you meet. So please, like I mentioned with the person that I had to let go in a company, I had to make sure that IT was acknowledged and the cab was waiting out front. I had all these things lined up in advance because I didn't know what the response was going to be. You need to do the same for your show. So here's some key things. It's in the show notes. The whole list is there. So you don't need to write this down. Just go look at the show notes and follow these things because it's really going to help you. So let's talk about some considerations and pre-planning before you let go your team. So like the title of the episode today, it's not me, it's you. And here's the considerations for pre-planning. Make sure you review any contractual obligations. I hope that you have a contract with your service provider. Review your contract for notice periods. You have to give 30, 60, 90-day notice, whatever. Any payment terms and any deliverables that are owed to you. Make sure you know all that information. Always honor your obligations, even if the other party does not. You want to come out on top here. You want to be the best example and make this as smooth as possible. So review your contract. Another consideration in pre-planning item is to look at all your passwords and your asset management. Secure all your passwords and access to your podcast assets. For example, your editing software platform, your hosting platforms where your podcast is loaded to and distributed to Apple and Audible and Spotify and YouTube. You need to have access to all of these things. Your social media accounts. Before the transition, change your passwords if necessary to protect your content. If you have shared email access, whatever that is, be sure that you have all that arranged ahead of time so that you own the conversation. And your asset transfer is another thing to consider. Be sure to understand and ensure that all files, your backups, your documentation, your show note templates, all of the things that go behind the scenes, this person has been creating for you. You paid for those by them creating this content for you and supporting you. This is your data, your information. It does not belong to them. It belongs to you. It's all based on your content. So make sure you get all your assets figured out, who owes what to whom, and you have a request a final handover of any outstanding work or assets as part of the process of making the change. And if there's any gap between service providers, so plan for a potential gap. So if you're releasing a weekly episode and you let your team go, what happens to this week's upcoming episode? Who's doing that for you? If you need help in a gap situation, you just need somebody to fill in for a couple weeks, reach out to me. I'd love to help you and just fill in the blanks while you find the next person. If that's all I can do to help you, then I'd love to be that for you. I've done that for people in the past. In a pinch, they're like, oh my gosh. And I can definitely help you with that. I kind of consider it like a drive-through service. You know, when you go to a restaurant, you don't go inside. You just pull up to the window. They hand you the coffee and donut. Bam, you're on your way. That kind of thing. I can do that for you as well. So reach out if you need help with that anytime. But make sure you have somebody in the middle that can span the person leaving and the new person coming. What happens? What happens if that's a month or 2 months or 3 weeks or whatever? Do you have a plan for what happens with next week's episode? Make sure you think about that before you have this conversation. And also any professional offboarding. So when you're offboarding with your team, make sure that you keep it professional. Treat it like a business throughout the whole process. Thank your assistant or editor for their work and wish them well. You may cross paths with them in the future, and their opinion of you and how you treated them is going to be filtered and distributed to other people. They will talk about you as a podcaster and how you treated them as a support person. The community is small, and we talk to each other. So treat each other with respect, both ways. And lastly, just documentation and communication. Keep records and communications and everything that's happened. Like I said, email yourself. It's time-stamped. It's got a date on it. Summarize what happened, the interaction, what was missed, how things didn't work out properly. Document. That's like so important from an HR perspective. And in this moment, you are the HR professional dealing with somebody who's not meeting your expectations. So you need to think like a pro, act like a pro, and just document everything. Don't forget. Do that in advance. The moment you get a signal that something's going wrong, keep track. Just keep track. You have it. If you never need it, it's still there. But the moment you need it, oh my gosh, do you need it? So please document when you feel like the relationship is not going smooth. Just start documenting right away. It should be your first response. That's the first thing we do in HR. do that. Some additional considerations to think about too. Feedback for future improvement. If appropriate, offer some constructive feedback to help your assistant or your editor grow. They might be new to this, and they might be embarrassed that they did not meet your expectations, and they're devastated. They've been walked out to the cab. They've been released from their job. Their identity is gone. Their team is gone. Their relationship with you, they might really love you. They might really love serving you, and they love your content. They talk about you to their friends. They promote your podcast just naturally because they're so proud to work with you. Remember, at the end of the day, we're all humans in this. And you might feel ill giving the news to somebody and letting them go. But remember, they're on the receiving end. And they're feeling really inadequate. They're feeling very scared. They're dealing with a lack of income, possibly. What am I going to tell my partner, my kids? Be careful. We're all humans. And make sure that you treat people with love and respect. Even if they don't deserve it, don't be walked on. Don't be pushed around. But remember, this is a human being. Treat them with respect. You need to prepare yourself emotionally for this conversation. Don't do this when you're upset. Don't do this when you're distracted. Don't do this like before the weekend, for example. HR doesn't like to let people go on a Thursday or Friday. What's going to happen if we do that is the person, if you work Monday to Friday, we let them go on a Friday afternoon at 2, they're going to go home and think about this all weekend. They're going to go home and their routine is out, and they're going to be just redirecting maybe their anger at the broken relationship or their lack of ability to serve you as a support person. They might take it out on their friends and family or themselves. So please think about when you're going to have this conversation, and do not blindside somebody. If you're hiding your discontent for how they treat you and you never bring it up and they have no idea how bad it really is, and you blindside them with a, hey, we need to chat email, that's your heart sinks when you have zero idea that this is coming. So please have the conversation, have good, rich relationships with your support person, and never let it get to the point where somebody has no sweet clue of what's coming down the road. If things are handled the right way, for the most part, it's almost expected that a change needs to happen. They're going to feel it too. They're also a human being, and they're also not maybe happy. They might not be happy with you, and this might be a relief for them to be released from your podcast. So think about it that way. It's not always about them. Somebody told me a long time ago, if somebody has a problem with you, you, to some degree, are part of the problem. So keep that in mind. Always have a backup plan. Identify any potential replacements or interim solutions, like we mentioned, before ending the current relationship. Don't end the relationship and then start looking. Make sure that you have a plan in place. And again, if you need somebody in the gap just to help you with a few episodes here and there, reach out. I'd love to help you as well. So it's time to make a change. And I'm curious, if you've never done this before, if you've never let somebody go, then you're going to need some help. To come back to this episode, if you've ever been let go before, understand that the person that's talking to you is not doing this because they love it. This is something they've been asked to do. Someone's giving them the task to do this. They are not going to enjoy this, and they're going to have a hard time sleeping tonight knowing they had to let go a team member. So it goes both ways. Have compassion, but at the same time, make sure you're an advocate for yourself, and don't let somebody bully you as a support person. It's your show. It's your content. It's your audience, and you do not want to let any of them down. Make the right decision. And if you have any questions about this, reach out to me, podcasteditingandsupport.com. And again, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being here. Thanks for listening to the Podcast Editing and Support Show. Visit us at podcasteditingandsupport.com. Podcasteditingandsupport.com. We would love to help you find a great podcast editor, or if you want to hire us, we would love to work with you. Podcasteditingandsupport.com. Catch you on the next episode. Take care.